This is my BMW E39 and against all odds we've got it driving in the last video. But to get it driving again was a massive hurdle. We had to deal with leaky brake lines, which is really terrifying, and malfunctioning equipment. Therefore I'm going to show you what it took to get it into this state. But here comes the biggest issue. We've actually swapped the engine and put a bigger one in here. The thing is, currently installed is the old ECU. But we need the new one with the new software from the new engine. But in order to get the engine starting, it needs the right code from the immobilizer. If this number from the immobilizer isn't the same as in the ECU, the car won't start. Therefore I thought, why not just remove the immobilizer jack completely? Well, I actually do have a cable for that. I've started the software, ignition on. Well, it won't work. But later I found out that this cable was broken. I do have a new one and now it's working. At first I'm taking the old software from the ECU in case something goes wrong, just for recovery. And now I'm flashing on the new software with the immobilizer bypass. And now we are trying to start the car. Hopefully it works. But before that I wanted to fix the leaking exhaust. And while we are here, we are replacing some other stuff too. Then I'm going to replace this thingy here, and I need to replace the gaskets. Well, the flex disc is definitely broken. I mean, take a look at that. And now please cross all your fingers, because we are starting the engine. And luckily, it works. But we're still not ready to drive. Before we need to get the brakes working, otherwise we will crash into something. Therefore we are replacing the last two brake hoses. We've already replaced all of the other brake lines and brake hoses. And now I'm happy to announce the hydraulic part of the brake system is completely refreshed. Now we are going to bleed the brakes. So now I'm going to make sure that no bleeding nipple is seized. It's open. This one is alright too. Okay, this one is alright too. Hopefully not seized. Okay, it isn't seized. Perfect. In my hand I'm holding a bottle with a tube, and in the bottle there is a little bit of braking fluid so that the tube is submerged in brake fluid. The next step is to fill the brake fluid reservoir. It normally takes about 1 liter. The next step is to take a seat and pump the brake pedal a few times. But we had an issue. The brake pedal remained soft. It is easy. And after reviewing this footage, this source became clear. It turned out that one of the brake line fittings was loose. I've just tightened it and now it should be good. But let's test it. It actually feels much better now. Wow, that's a workout. It is getting stiff. And finally, we are ready to drive. But there was an issue. The front suspension clunks and it is very loose. And I'm not surprised, because I haven't torqued anything up in the front yet. But there are a few broken things like the control arms on the driver's side. I went ahead and bought a new front subframe. However, I couldn't remove the control arms, so I decided to replace the entire wheel hub assembly. Since the wheel bearing was missing, I took it from the old wheel hub, but later it turned out to be a bad idea. Both of the front wheel bearings were done, so let's replace them. Perfect, and it looks so nice. But the steering also has some play, so therefore we also replace both tie rods. To replace them, we need to remove the boots and loose the bolt and flange of the tie rod. And now we're making sure that both of the tie rods are the same length. Without that adjustment, the tracking would be completely off. Then just slap it all together and torque it to spec. Done. Next up, we are changing the brakes. And I'll tell you, there's something incredibly satisfying about this job. I mean, who doesn't love those shiny brand new brakes? For me, they are an essential part of truly restoring a car. They make such a big difference. The last step was to replace the worn out engine mount bushings. With the car up on the lift, we had to prop up the rear. Now it's engine lifting time. Out go the old bushings and in come the fresh ones. Subscribe if you want to see this car driving on the road.